Aha! I knew you guys thought we weren't going to arrive early here on teamfortress.tv, but we did it! We actually did it, Dom! We're here, we're live, and it is me, TurboTabs, and you've guessed correctly, it is Dum on the Cutcast, and a big shout out to hamaham on production as well. The whole band is here so early that we decided to start early. How you doing, Dum?
Doing pretty well, and once we're starting early, we might actually still have to wait for the other team to arrive on the server, as currently it's just 7 players. But Ascent is assembled, they're scrimming, so it's only a matter of time until they realize that they're scrimming as warm-up for this game.
Yeah, once a great man said, if you want change to happen, you have to start with the man in the mirror. So we're going to start ourselves early, and we've got plenty to talk about, Dom. We've got two of the top teams from ETF2L Season 29 Premiership coverage right here, because they're playing in the playoff upper bracket final. Ooh. So, we'll get introducing some of these teams before we get into the thick of it of map picks and bans, because keep in mind, best of 3, there's always a map pick and ban in the best of 3 in TF2. So, we'll go over one of these rosters. I'll let you pick out which roster while hamaham starts plugging away at some buttons and some reports and Gentleman John goodness. So, Dom, which team would you like to introduce just for all our radio listeners out there?
Looks like it's Se7en, and that would have been my guess as well. They're already here, so better to start talking about them. Coming in as the second seed from the main season, I think. Just barely missing out on the top spot.
Yep, we've got Seeds on Medic, Kado on the DuMmTm, AMS on that Pocket Soldier, Flash on that Pocket Scout, I believe so, Disky on that Roaming Soldier, Tiger on that Aggressive Scout. Those two scouts might have been switched up here and there because teams seem to keep that sort of role quite fluid when things are going badly, when things are going correctly. Either way, that is our 7 squad. Let's move on over to our Ascent squad, just rather... Oh, actually, while we're trying to get the Ascent one loaded, we'll maybe talk about 7 a bit more because we've got just a bit of technical difficulties done.
They changed up their roster quite a bit, been talked about quite a lot about already, but it's still worth mentioning. New Medic, new Roamer, and is Tiger playing today? Yes, he should, right?
Yes.
So that's 3 new people on the roster, all of which have shown the capability of not downgrading them to the point where Ascent will just easily win, but still, it's a mix-up that we'll certainly have to get used to on 7's part.
Yeah, it's really a polar opposite of how they entered the season. They entered into it as the most experienced team, the most solid, the most rock-steady of all of the teams, and now they're the most new, the most fresh-faced, the ones that have to kind of piece together how they're going to play the game, going straight into the playoff. Do you think a team like 7 will be nervous at all with these new players, Dom?
I don't think too much. They definitely, the whole experience core, Kados Flash, certainly know what they're doing and how they want to do it, so it's mostly a matter of getting the new 3 to play the way they want, and that's pretty much it. So, yeah, it's just a matter of getting everybody up to the pace of the playstyle they want to have. Pretty much.
Well, it looks like hamaham has come to the rescue and he has fixed our Ascent.EU page. So, well, he's done his best. But let's have a look at our Ascent lineup. It is Ombrak on Medic, Elacor on DuMmTm, Josh, the Major, is playing that Pocket Soldier, Funds is on that Scout class, Chris is roaming, and Credo is also playing that Scout class. What have you got to say about Ascent.EU, Dom? Are you a fan at all?
Yeah, I thought they started off the season a little bit stronger than they ended up playing later on, but after the first playoffs game against Omni5, they looked like they composed themselves a little bit, because they ended up looking a bit more sketchy towards the end of the season. But I feel like they're slowly coming back into it, and they definitely need to. 7, even with new players, certainly is still a powerhouse. Ascent came in as the second expected seed at the beginning of the season with 7's first roster. Now their chances are significantly better for them, but it's still a very close matchup. And if we just look at the numbers here, just Elacor with the only one with a nice little first spot on his class, but given how the heals are playing out, it kind of makes sense this way, doesn't it?
It's a little strange to see here, Dom. Usually a person will tower above on one certain stat because they have to pull all their resources or time and attention into that one stat. So, for example, if you've been busy finishing off players, you don't really have the time to throw in the damage, but Elokor is showing why he is the best player of Season 28 last season. He can do all three, it seems. He's a very good kill assist sort of player, a very strong killing machine on his own, and puts out the deeps. Even got some air shots to boot.
Yeah, Elokor is playing really aggressive, jumping a lot, making use of the, basically always 30% heals, just about, he gets per game. And everybody else has to live with a little bit less, but they're making it work regardless of that, which is really impressive. And given how scout-centric the game is in general, it is a little bit surprising to have the DuMmTm be a main heal target this heavily.
Almost unheard of. We don't really like to talk about it, but there was that one DuMmTm update thrown in a while back where the TF2 team decided that they don't like this DuMmTm class. It's just way too powerful. They scaled it back a bit, and DuMmTm had to find a new role. But Elokor's kind of bringing a whole rhyme and reason why maybe you should start playing around that DuMmTm again.
Yeah, for sure. It's really interesting to see sometimes. Every once in a while, you does stuff where I just think, why would you do that? Because it's just so aggressive. And it seems really weird, but it ends up working because not only does he know what he's doing, but everybody else on the team knows how to react of it. And this aggressiveness just gets rewarded with a playstyle that Ascent has been working on for a little bit now.
Alright, well, we've talked a little bit about Ascent, or I say we've talked about Ascent, we've talked mostly about Elokor, but there's some more reports back there, so hamaham, I want you to bring me one of the Ascent versus Se7en sort of ones, the ones that we get to see their contribution to the team on a whole, and we also get to see them kind of against one another. So let's see if my prayers have been answered, but in the meantime, Dum, is there, oh god, look at that thing is absolutely butchered to hell. Sweet Jesus.
To be fair,
kill it with fire.
Even if the players were there, it wouldn't tell too much about the how many maps did they play, not too many. And the player match against the Germans wasn't too close either, so that would be highly skewed, I would imagine.
Well, it's sort of right and it's sort of wrong in all the weird, strange places. For example, Raymond is definitely not playing tonight, AMS is not playing Scout. And it's the only stats we can really compare here is maybe Kado versus Elokor, which does work quite nicely because we were hyping up Elokor so much in our little pre-game chatter. So what can you see from these stats here, Dom? Is there anything kind of jumping out at you when you look at these two DuMmTm?
Well, the thing that's kind of obvious is that Kado's stats are quite a bit more reserved in terms of damage and kills. Elokor significantly more aggressive. Kado's starts doing it a little bit more recently, but compared to Elokor, it's still a much more passive playstyle, and it makes sense. He's the main caller. He needs to stay alive for his team to function on 100%, and just playing it further back and letting the rest of his team lead instead of leading himself, as in physically in the game. It makes sense that his stats are a little bit on the lower side compared to Elokor's.
Man, I could have sworn I made an Ascent.EU and a Se7en one. Are you sure it's not at the very bottom, hamaham? Very bottom of the chest, the Gentleman John chest, right back there. Scroll all the way down for that bad boy. Let's see if we can get a more vibrant one for our viewers. But you could see that... Oh, there we go. So there must have been a reserve one. Nope, just one of Se7en. Okay, I'll settle with that. That's fine. So... looking at some of the stats more closely on Se7en because we glossed over them quite quickly, there is an impressive performance put out by Flash and AMS. Flash kind of towering above every other scout in the league over on kills. He is the sweeper. He is the janitor. He cleans up, is what I'm trying to say, Dom.
Yeah, that is one impressive stat line, that's for sure. Just being everywhere where he needs to be to get the kills that his teammates make possible. It shows that he is the cleanup scout, definitely, because it's quite a bit less DPM than almost everybody around him besides Adiski, who's the roamer, who's also playing for kills, but obviously in a different way than the scout would. So, yeah, Flash just taking the kills where his team creates the opportunities.
Yeah, it is a sight to behold, especially the fact that he's played every single game of the season. Usually when teams get a late starter in one of these seasons, their stats are a bit more fortunate because they have kind of a smaller sample size to play. They get to kind of show off and shine just a little bit harder, maybe missing some of those harder games. But Tiger's come out a bit scathed by this sort of phenomenon. So he's only sitting. Ham has found the log, he says. So behold, TFTV community. This was the log I was talking about. Oh, it's beautiful, Dum. It's beautiful. Now we can really analyze some things with this. We can finally see who is actually contributing to these two teams and what they contribute and how much they contribute in comparison with one another, Dum. If you look at those percentages on the left-hand and right-hand side of these bars, you get to show how much work they are doing in their said field. For example, you see that Chris is doing 25% of the dying on his team, judging by the lower bar graph on his side of the his little square. But I mean, that's expected. He's a roaming soldier. He's going to be dying a lot for his team throughout the game. It is his natural role. Whilst over on Flash, you get to see he's doing 25% of the kills between all 5 of his teammates, which is again part of his role and part of the reason why he got that first place as that cleanup scout in the league.
Yeah, well, interesting for Adiski. He obviously is well known for playing Demo. Recently not gotten too fond of it, so he swapped to Soldier, in this case roaming Soldier. And I think the transition has been pretty decent so far. He's certainly capable of making great plays. It's just a matter of the quantity of those that is still a bit lower than some other soldiers in the league at the moment. But I think he can make it up there with just a little bit of time. And today would certainly be one of the matches where he needs to step up compared to the soldiers in the caliber of Chris and Josh on the other side.
I bet people were kind of wondering, the fact that we started so early, surely we would be starting the match quite early. Well, no. It's actually the opposite effect. We have decided to switch server halfway through all of this. I mean, this is TF2 These players aren't happy unless they're playing on the crispest of ping. So they're kind of having a search around for these servers in the meantime. But I've got some time to kill. I've got plenty of data to throw at you, I've got some extra little tidbits, and we haven't even gone through maps as well. So I did just check the ETF2L pages just a little bit before the cast because I was a little bored in all sense, just trying to find some neat little data to talk about these two teams. And a thing I found out, was all of these players in this server right now, except 3 of them, have won an ETF2L award. And if I'm kind of interested to see if chat can actually figure out which of the 3 players that didn't end up winning an award, and we can probably go through them one by one as well before we go through the maps. Fun little bit. So I'm going you probably know the answers to some of these. Who do you think these 3 players, these mystery players that have never won an ETF2L award before in these 2 lineups?
Well, the one that when you mentioned it before the game started, the one that obviously stuck out to me is Chris with not too much experience on either of those teams, and Seeds as well, being that it's his first season in Prem right now, and it's not even a full one. So those were like the obvious answers, but the third one took me a little bit longer, but the conclusion was that it's in fact AMS.
Oh damn. So that really shocked me when I first saw it as well, but you are right, that is, AMS has never won an ETF2L award. Everybody else has won an ETF2L award. Adiski's won countless of Highlander ones, Flash, Tiger, Cadus has won like 12 of them. God damn, he is the true veteran out of everybody. I think he's got more than everyone combined. He's that seasoned, but still trying to hunt down that server whilst... Okay, we found it apparently. Yes, we have it. Alright. So
Well, and this season as well, it's gonna be tough for AMS to get an award, seeing that he like played half the time on Scout again and then the other half on Soldier. So it's tough to make an impression as the best of one of those classes if you just like switch halfway through.
all right, well, so with the server fan, we probably can go straight into our map talk. I didn't want to kind of blow our map pick plans before we actually got a server going. So let's up our shiny graphic. Thanks to Erin for this graphic that will kind of visualize our map picks and bans and process and whatnot. Okay, so if you mind for whatever reason and you want to listen to this, of all content out there, you have Se7en that is banned out Product, followed by Ascent banning out Sunshine. Snakewater was their map pick. Se7en respond with Badlands, and then they ban Granary. Ascent respond with Gully Wash, and then Process is the final map in the map pool of ETF2L that they can play. So that's the final map they will decide upon if it comes to it. Okay, Dom. First impressions on these map picks and bans.
I think nobody should be surprised that Se7en is the one to ban Product. They historically have some difficulties on that map, and against a team like Ascent, it really shouldn't be surprising that they want to avoid a team with a capable sniper of the caliber of Quadu, and B, not only that, but also have a soldier that is really good on Scout as well, and Chris. So sniper double Scout, when yourself are still struggling to find answers against other teams on that map, it's just not a good time.
Yeah, it's just really strange to me, Dom, that the only thing you could say that's being kept the same of Se7en is obviously a few players here and there, but they've got all these players have swapped out. You'd think that it would change the team fundamentally and they would be much better at Product by result of it, because those original players that maybe were struggling with it, or the cohesion or whatever. But once you get slapped onto the Se7en squad, you're just not good at Product anymore. It is truly a mystery of TF2.
Yeah, it was weird. They have like a player like Tiger now on the roster, and he still couldn't do it, and it's really fascinating how that worked out in the end.
Second, I remember AMS doing pretty well on Product in his lifetime as well.
He could also just switch to Scout. They could have done the same, but the game just got in ahead, I would imagine. I certainly couldn't see it because unfortunate circumstances made SDVs hard to get, but second map that was banned by Ascent is Sunshine. This, I don't know if we would have a matchup who would be in the favor on that map, but seeing as Ascent bans it, and Se7en isn't too fond of the map either, it's just the best for both of them. It would just be a really uncomfortable match on Sunshine for either team. I do want to say Ascent would have had the upper hand, but they banned it, so they don't even want to take the chance.
Oh, you couldn't even be further from the truth, Dom, because looking back at the match details over the season long, they actually played against one another on this Sunshine map, and it was a clean 5-0 for the Se7en boys. They were so scary towards Ascent.EU that they don't ever want to see that map again. And maybe it could also be the fact that they've recently played it in playoffs as well against Omni 5. And I mean, it wasn't easy for them by no means, but it wasn't hard as well. So maybe they're just feeling a bit sheepish about that map, sick of it, tired of it, bored of it, or scared of it. Either way, they don't want to play it. So they did go with the Snakewater instead, which I believe Ascent have picked this just because, I don't know, it's just a comfortable favourite for, just comfortable mids, comfortable map for players like maybe Josh and Elacor alike. But, do preach if you have some truth out there for us, Dom.
I wouldn't be so sure. Sunshine, we talked about, as you mentioned, was all in Se7en's favor. Ascent picked Snake as response, and they have good ideas on that map compared to Sonai would say, from what I've seen over the course of the season. They have lots of stuff going on there for the mid-fights, for transitions and all that good stuff. So that should be interesting, and this will, as we all see, be our first map once everybody's on the server.
Yeah, and talking a little bit about the Badlands pick from Se7en, I believe this is just the map that everyone picks when you have a sort of new roster, because everyone knows Badlands like the back of their hand. if you've played in mixers, you've played in other teams, Badlands has pretty much stay the same for years now, fundamentally. I mean, there's been some changes with that last point, and last is a bit harder to deal with now, but if teams are feeling confident on those mids and sticking to true to those lessons of TF2, where if you can get that mid fight on lockdown and then just keep sailing it to last, you've got a good map on your hands.
Maybe, but the point people still make that Badlands is like the most well-known map these days, I feel like it's slowly coming like to an end where we're entering, well, we are long due for the time where everybody's playing Process all the time. It's just become the most favorite map of everybody, and like the people of the old ages that just like grew up with Badlands, let's put it that way, like those times are pretty much over. I want to say, like, there are so few people on these teams now that played before Process got introduced that the fact that Badlands is like the most well-known map is, I don't think it kind of holds true anymore.
I mean, you got to keep in mind who's playing tonight there, Dom. You've got such old fogies like Kado, AMS, Flash is quite old in my eyes as well, and Josh. A lot of these names have been playing for a long time, Dom, and I think it's safe to say that everyone knows what they want to do or what they want to try and achieve on a Badlands map, but it could go against them. You've got Ascent over on this team as well, and it's probably a fact that they just picked this Badlands map because they know it's not going to be a weak map for them, whilst Ascent obviously don't get to say in the matter too much.
I would say Se7en on Badlands could still be dangerous. It's a traditionally slow map these days, and Se7en likes to do just that. And the moment they have any sort of advantage, they just try to make it work against the other team by just baiting out mistakes. And most notoriously, Badlands last lends itself to that quite a bit. You can just throw things into last, see what works. If it doesn't, just back off and hope that the other team does something stupid so you can have a huge advantage into last again. And that's the way Se7en goes.
Rolling on forward, we do have a granary ban from Se7en. I'd imagine that this is just a fact that they had to choose between Gully Wash, Process, and Granary. So Granary was just the much loved map out of all of those picked for Se7en. So they just banned that out. And also, there's nothing wrong with kind of eliminating Elacor's advantage. The fact that Elacor has proven himself to be the scarier demo man over Cadus, maybe lending him a map where the demo man has a lot of influence, is in Se7en's best interest.
Yeah, and after that you have Galiosh banned by Ascent, meaning they rather have a pretty neutral map to a demo-centric map, which is a little bit interesting, but considering, like we mentioned just before, how Se7en want to play slow and controlled, and Galiosh being traditionally one of their best maps for just that reason, not just on last, but also on second to mid, it really shouldn't come to a surprise that they'd rather give up the abilities that Galiosh lends to a demo man to a map where it's a little bit more even in terms of playstyles. Even then, Se7en can still certainly play slow and Process. It's not like that is completely eliminated, but I would say it's quite a bit less of a factor on Process than on Galiosh.
This Galiosh ban is very surprising to me, Dom, because again, looking back at those match, that week 2, or I guess you could call it week 6 match between Se7en and Ascent back in the regular old ETF2L season, they actually won that map 4-3. It was a golden cap, mind you, but Ascent still won it, but they opted to still ban it out. Do you think there's a good reason why a team might do that, Dom?
I think it really is just coming down to the entire team of Ascent probably then preferring Process over Gully anyway, regardless of how the matches went. Just, yeah, we won it, but like they didn't win it comfortably by any means. So it's not like the matchup will be like a huge deciding factor on those maps. So it would be close either way, I would imagine, but Ascent opting for Process should certainly say that they are more confident there than on Galiosh, regardless of how Se7en want to play.
Alright, so We've seen the maps, we've seen the players, we've even seen every aspect of the team. We've seen some broken reports, we've seen some fixed reports. But what we haven't done for a long, long time here on Team FTV Dome is some good old-fashioned predictions. I want you to go through it one by one, map by map. Who's going to win, who's going to lose, who's going to dominate, and who's going to cry.
I'm going to say the first two maps will go exactly the way they picked. So Ascent will win Snake, Se7en will win Badlands, and
ETF2L will win Process.
I want to see a golden cap win from Ascent on Process. I want to say that's what's going to happen. The game will be slow for sure, and Ascent is just somehow going to edge it out. That's just my prediction, though. Well, without scorelines for now. Let's do that for each map.
I think it's going to be a clean sweep between either one of these teams. It's going to come down to this Snakewater map, and I'm feeling, you know what? I'm going to take the Se7en card here. I'm going to go predictable. They were very impressive in their last match. It was a very clean 5-0, 5-0 in the last playoff game, and I think they've got it again. They've just all synced up with this new roster. It's a different roster they played with against over in that week 6 or week 2 game that Ascent played earlier, and I think they're not going to be used to it. They're not going to get used to the fact that they've got this Tiger to deal with, and they've got a Diski's way of playing Roma to play against as well, and it's going to catch them off guard. It's going to be a clean 2-map sweep coming out from Se7en.
Well, it's worth mentioning that, sure, it's playoffs, but it's still in the winner's bracket, so even if you end up losing this, you're by no means out of the competition for now. You still have a chance. Sure, you have to play another game before Grand Finals, but at the very least you got some information on how you want to approach these matches in the future. And there's no doubt about the fact that at least some of these maps will be most likely be played again in Grand Finals if it comes to that. And seeing how both of these teams confidently won against the 3rd and 4th seed, there's no doubt in my mind that they'll match up in the Grand Finals no matter how this will go. So quite a lot of this will certainly be a learning experience more than anything, I would imagine.
Yes, but if time has taught us anything, or history has taught us anything, it is that it is very wise to get every sort of little advantage you can in these upper bracket finals, as they're not playing for just nothing here, hamaham and Dum. They are playing for a sort of advantage in the map picks and bans, and I think possibly a map advantage if ETF2L have still got that old rule kicking in the rule book. But they've also got some history on their side, whereas I think I did a calculations last season where 3/4 of the team that went on to win this upper bracket final will win the entire thing.
Well, we heard noises, so the game will be going live.
Alright, well, if you're just joining us, this is ETF2L Season 29 Premiership Coverage Playoff Upper Bracket Final. Se7en versus Ascent.EU, and the first thing I'm seeing on mid-dome is just DuMmTm kind of throwing stickies at one another. Elacor waiting patiently for these crossbows, and nobody's really jumping first, except Chris. He's doing like a fake-out jump, but not so much of a fake-out if he gets shot in mid-air, though. He will take a crossbow. He will try to go back in, but he keeps getting peppered back by these scouts. The double soldier bomb looks a bit nicer from Se7en, but they haven't really followed up on it either. AMS is throwing himself in but can't land the air shots to kind of turn the tides of this game, and Kratos managing to push back an entire team, it looks like.
He gets the bomb. Nobody saw him coming. I didn't know where he was coming from. I just saw him straight in front of Umberg, and that is surprising. That was such a good start to the bid for Ascent. Both teams playing it really passive. Ascent with the left side approach, getting the picks.
Oh, Kratos behind. Kratos behind. He's on top of Seeds, and Seeds does duck away underneath the staircase to avoid that sort of play from the Finnish scout. But they're just going to have to settle with a midpoint for now. They did lose Umbrak, like you said, in that second point, a mystery bomb from a Diski, but it doesn't mean that the worst things have come to worst for Ascent. They still have the second point to actually spam back. They've got their medic up and alive and ready to actually spam the point, give a bit of harass on this point of Snakewater. They will give it up because they do have an uber disadvantage, and we'll see what sort of defense they've got lined up as well for Se7en pushing into this last.
I'm surprised they stayed this long in lobby. And now they have nothing on the defense. Sure, they got the Uber, but they still need to hold off this Uber push who comes, and now both Uber have been exchanged. Just exchange, but Seed gets juggled so high. Radical Stickies, he ends up dying. Cadus as well. Tiger's in onto Ombrick. Can he find the shots? Yes, he can. Kurdu too slow. Once, in fact, it was.
Oh wow, very nice sort of aggression coming out from Se7en here. With Seeds going down, they decide to just throw everybody at the enemy Ascent, and they will mostly come out of this unscathed. They haven't got the manpower to set up a second attack for Ascent, so they're going to go back, lick their wounds, and start building that overcharge again and restart all the way from the beginning. Dum.
Yeah, that was so uncharacteristic for Se7en. They just went in optimistic looking for an exchange, and I know it's become a joke to say that Se7en never push, but when it just lives aggressively and without any advantages, it's really surprising.
Chris is so low here, he's hiding around this corner. Thank God there's a crossbow in this video game, as he does get healed back up, but has to retreat because they've gained so much ground on Se7en. They're going to spam out the sentry gun before even needing the Uber, but the Uber gets dropped or taken out of the equation by Josh, and with just the last remnants of Se7en on this point and an Uber charge to deal with, I don't think this is going to be Ascent's point at all. I mean, Se7en's point at all. It will be Ascent's point, however.
Yeah, it's like Se7en actively tries to avoid like playing like they usually do, and it just isn't working out. First the aggressive exchange that just ends up getting them. Sure, they got Ombrick as well, but it didn't work out in the end. And again, they just walk in, and the rotating soldiers just instantly got the picks. And without heals, that was a quick point. But here are people already dying in second. So many people just get baited, and maybe that's Se7en's the approach. Just bait and push by playing super aggressively.
That was some manning up coming out from Kado there. He just decided he wanted that second point, despite the fact that they were didn't really have a major advantage to their name. They just believed that they were the best team in Europe right there. Walked in for free, got a very quick and easy kill onto Elikor, and Kados just kept showing off his spamming prowess from that point henceforth. He will claim the round for Se7en in this first map.
Yeah, that was a really surprising beginning there, and Se7en already in the lead. Ascent needs to respond strong on these bits and not lose Ombrick early again.
So a bit of a quick bomb coming out from AMS. Does get himself behind. Disky takes the end approach, and look at this collapse coming out from Se7en here. Very clean spam, very good damage from all of this team. It's a game that the rest of Se7en have been cleaned up just as quickly on the other end. It looked like it was going all the way for Se7en now. What went wrong for for Se7en in that point, Dum?
I make the counterpoint and say everything went pretty much the way they wanted. Maybe not perfectly, but they just played aggressively, kept Seeds with Flash passive, and just half the team went aggressive for the pick. 3 people committed for that, Amps going behind as well. So yeah, they just threw everything at Ombrick, got the Uber advantage now into mid, because they kept Seeds safe, and they can just walk in here, and Ascent doesn't have anything in position to force out the Uber.
I'm surprised they didn't try for a hiding soldier somewhere. That's the oldest trick in the book when it comes to forcing out the medic on the Snakewater map, but they don't really attempt for it, so they decide to give up the middle instead. Probably even give up this second point as well. They have cocked up a sniping opportunity on Kradu, who was probably their best bet of getting back into this second point, or at least this second round. But with Kradu missing out on his shots or his opportunities, he will be forced back at the last point with the rest of his team. He is getting some pot shots here and there, but nothing on any major targets for right now.
Yeah, and just as to say, the Tiger instantly dies to Se7en. Still peeking the sideline, but without one of their scouts, they certainly want to stop doing that to risk any potential picks. And now it's the question, what will Ascent do with this? Chris is in position, but Flash spots him immediately in the lower area. Amps does go down, and so does Funds. So both teams losing 1 each, but Ascent still committing to this position in lobby here.
Oh, Elikor, he's taking peeks around at Seeds, and Seeds just did not want to pop for whatever reason. He looked the Demoman in the eyes, and he realised you haven't got it in you, but Elikor did have it in him. Dumb.
Yeah, why wait for the sniper when you can just do it yourself? And now the question how Se7en will do this. They throw in people to get a force off, but only end up getting Elikor, which isn't bad. but certainly not the optimal way of doing things, as last time they didn't have to worry about an Uber while recontesting second. This time it's quite a bit different, and it shows Se7en don't want to have to do anything with this whole situation. They're just back on mid. The question is for how long, because Omrek does have 70% advantage, so they can and should play this as quick as they can.
Yeah, Se7en are going to do everything in their power to stop Ascent from coming in here this cleanly, and there we go. They've got the first pick onto Josh already, with 2 picks actually followed up with Chris's death as well. Oh wow, that's an even third little worry for Ascent there, with the numbers advantage down, the positional advantage down. They've got nothing to really fight them with, and they're going to lose their Uber advantage as well. Tiger's throwing himself at the face of Elikor. Elikor does die, and there we go. More advantages being lost by Ascent as time keeps ticking here, DuMmTm. Se7en aren't giving up. They're following up. They're trying to force out Ombrak, and Ombrak will have to use. Josh does get a headshot out of midair. Thank God there's invulnerability during this fight for both of these teams, and Funz will throw himself into the Uber to try and deal with this. It's just Josh on his own at this point. He will go down. The scout joins Ombrak, tries to get him out. Ombrak actually weasels his way out of this somehow, but the advantages hold true for Se7en. They've got that player advantage, and it looks like the scout might kill Elikor for a second time here. It's a good thing Credu equaled out his life against Tiger in that lower area. They want to take this to the lower area over on Se7en perhaps to maybe force this back cap, but they're just going to hold on to second instead, and Ascent too worried about this back cap. They will back off.
Yeah, the initial backup that made all of this start in the first place by Tiger just bought Se7en so much time, and it was valuable time that they needed, and it just works out in the end. They managed to get Elikor in all of that chaos, and the exchange with that double pick clearly going their way to get into second.
Okay, with the dust settled, you do actually see a Disky was just having a quick check of the classes, see if they were up to no good over on the Ascent lineup, but they should be aware of the sniper, not only by the spy play, but by the fact that Credo kind of fired some shots into Tiger, killing him off. Sniper confirmed for definite. Flash trying to create some space for his team, and either team is just at a standstill right now, not sure what to do. Ascent have a plan. They've got that sniper, and actually picks off Cadus. The plan is working swimmingly.
Well, that is some picks to work with. They have so much space to use now. You're for a proper push, or to just keep Credo in position to do stuff, and it's a little bit of both.
That was close, Seeds. That's way too close, Seeds. That is, that was scary to look at there. There was 2 opportunities for the Finnish sniper, but doesn't quite find the head that he was looking for.
They got the force off on the other end. Omrek had to use into absolutely nothing. Great bomb by Disky, and now here's the counter Uber on Se7en. But what can they find? It's only Josh so far. They will get second moves. Credo is sniping from behind, but he's missing shots, and they still haven't spotted him yet. But he's
oh my god. Oh my god, I think he had the shot onto Seeds there, but the scout got in the way and got clipped instead. If he had the Machina, maybe he could have got that shot instead, but it wasn't so. They are deciding to push out on their player advantage. They lose a player to spam and some follow-up from Funz as well. They want to get a kill onto Ombrak. They'll have to settle. Oh no, Tiger actually brings the kill onto Ombrak now. Cadus is the only one really with the presence to cap this point out, but 3 is better than 1 despite all the 19 or 12 ETF2L awards that man has in his cabinet. He will go down. They will start capping that second point over on Ascent. I feel like I've seen this scenario many times now.
Yeah, and Se7en want to approach it the same way, but this time Ascent a bit more aware of the situation, so they back off early, didn't even get the cap, but in the bigger picture it doesn't really matter, since Se7en would have probably just gotten it right back anyway, even maybe getting scouts on the way there if they really wanted to cap it off on Ascent, so probably for the better that they don't. But in all of the Se7en kept Seeds alive, which is the big thing here.
Oh, they're trying to pressure out this point, Se7en, with this Uber charge now, but they start springing their trap. They brought out the Pyro, the late balanced Fire Banner has come to play, and actually it's every other balanced class taking the kills away from that Pyro. With everyone wiped out, it's just the medic standing for Se7en. He will start quivering back to his scout, building that Uber charge back up, and Ombrak actually has his Uber charge in his back pocket ready for this mid push.
Yeah, that was so much time, so much point pressure by Se7en so early, and Ascent just collapsed on them, reacting pretty nicely there. Again, Ascent now with the big opportunity to push into mid with this Uber. They just need to play it clean. Se7en spamming on the wader, but nothing really too dangerous, so Ascent just simply taking this point without too much of a hassle for now.
Oh man, if this was old Josh, if this was Lego Josh, he'd be taking this Uber aggressive. Actually, there we go, he's actually taking the Uber onto Elocore instead. He gets cleaned up, a nice exchange coming out from AMS, a very clean fight. He actually threw into the lower area, so Ombrak couldn't get the Uber charge onto Elocore during that fight. They decide to take this fight against Seeds, and Seeds just kind of backs away, pivots against Josh's bomb, keeping a hold of his Uber charge, and the scouts are left mess that Ascent have laid behind. They will clean up Credu, they will get this midpoint in all likelihood.
Yeah, Se7en is so much more effective at forcing these Uber out of Ombrak, and it's in the meantime just staying alive so much better. And for the past week or so, that was one of the weaknesses I would say he had, but certainly works out much better now, as Amps overextends a little, can't get saved by the Uber coming out here into second, but Se7en will still get it at least.
Nice little play from Ascent. They did like a ambush but with both the soldiers. The scouts have just been let loose in this lower area. They're trying to kill Tiger, but Tiger's too much of a pest to actually kill. He does eventually go down, but he took way too long. And Adiski, he's trying to get on top of Umbrak. Umbrak's running for his life, gets a health pack. Thank God that Adiski didn't have another rocket loaded, or Umbrak could have been dropped. So, back the other way, Dom, back the other way. We keep going through this song and dance over and over again. It's just the same bloody chorus over and over. It is the Ascent will lose a round, they won't lose a round, but they will lose a point and then they'll gain a point.
They get people on mid this time. Se7en overcommits with 2 players here, Tiger going down and Cadus, and it's the same situation as before, so really it's surprising that they've switched it up this much, but so it is, and Ascent want to use these picks on their advantage now. Ooh. Everybody going deep.
Oh, Josh, he's brought down very low. He couldn't quite land the crossbow onto the Irishman on Brack, and Adiski's poking from that lower area to maybe see if he can disrupt that second point. They actually pop out the Uber from Se7en now. I'm not sure if that was a force or if that was a play for the second point. Either way, it means bad news for Se7en now. Ombrak has got his Uber charge. He has got some players caught behind and some aggressors onto his life, but this is all part of the bait, the little play. They expect this done. They want them to play this way when they've got the Uber, kind of bait them into their own demise, but they won't give this up. They will have the Uber charge, and they will have a defense set up for them.
Fighting 3 people behind for the entire time. Eventually Credu finds the kill. It needed 2 soldiers and a scout to finally get that pick. That took way too long.
Oh, every time is wasted. Seeds gets a little bit closer to his Uber charge. He's at 80% now. They've got a sentry gun to deal with. They do pop very late, which is a very healthy sign for Ascent, but there's going to be an Uber charge for Seeds coming out right now. He pops the Uber. Chris will have to pay the price for jumping into that Uber, and look at the collapse, look at the unfold chaos that is Se7en as they chase them all the way through these doors. Funz has not been noticed, he has been noticed now, trying to go for the back cap. They throw 3 players, 4 players back for the Welshman, and no back cap for you, sir. They will get that second point instead, and you know the words, Dum, back the other way.
Yeah, Ascent just ever so slightly lost track of the Uber situation, and it backfires so heavily. He's just barely getting once he entered spawn, and then, as you mentioned, Ascent might have used delay, but at that point everybody was so close once the Uber faded that Se7en's Uber just caused complete destruction.
Oh, Tiger really wanted that Josh kill there. It's good thing that Josh picked up that health pack before he lost his own life. Made Tiger kind of overextend when really it looked like his kill was set to him, or deservedly to him, but will be robbed of it by the TF2 health mechanics. They Uber in now over on the Se7en. They want to aggress onto Elocore. If they can't get the Ombrak pick, they will settle for the DuMmTm pick. With him down now, this assures the second point, maybe even last point if they get a move on really quickly. They throw 2 soldiers in on this left hand side. They want this Chris kill. He will get cleaned up, peppered off by Flash. They're capping the point right now. They actually have to dedicate the Uber over on the center, block this point. This is not the greatest use of their Uber that they were expecting to hold on to here, Dom.
Yeah, I think Se7en would be really happy with this. Ascent will try to move out, but it's really difficult. We saw them fail in the longer picture here before. They still will try regardless. Se7en have the advantage, but they don't have anywhere close to 100% yet, so Ascent want to make use of that, but Josh dies so early to Hams. They cap up the point, but it's the same thing as before, and it's just a complete collapse. Ombre goes down so early. Aleko Credu following up right after there's only 2 people left alive. Finds taking a 1v1, doesn't matter. 4 people come over to kill him. In the end, debobbled by Chris, but Siege just barely stays alive with a nice surf onto the little shack there. And this is exactly what Se7en wanted.
Strong soldier play coming out from AMS and Adiski there. Adiski had a very, very nice bomb onto Ombrag, onto Elikor, got some good damage and some good follow-up kills with that, and AMS spotted the initial weakness from Josh, stood out by himself behind his bunker, praying for a crossbow to come his way, but AMS came there first to Se7en, and I'm feeling pretty good about my prediction roundabout now. Now, Dom.
Yeah, it's Se7en, it's how they play, and the answer wasn't playing slow, but stakes on second that they can retaliate on, and it's been working really good so far.
Alright, so Adiski has set himself on that high ground, trying to just beat them out of their little hidey hoes on Ascent, but they're not springing it for no good reason. Josh is brought down low, he wants a crossbow, and he isn't getting anyone. He actually gets peppered off and cleaned up by Tiger before that even happens, and Tiger is still living. He's still here to fight with the rest of his team, and Flash doesn't even need Tiger. He's actually following up these kills. They have formed up as a double scout. Death ball now, and oh good counterplay coming out from Chris to actually get some bodies onto the board for Ascent here. He's still alive, but with 3 players left, including a medic, it's just too damn hard for the Irishman. He will go down, and they will have an uber advantage for this second point, and perhaps even last point at this rate, Dom.
Yeah, it certainly will be a last point. Credu already setting up the sentry. Adiski just waiting in spawn so he can forward spawn on Spy as well, which is serving 2 purposes, as he can just check for off-classes as well, which he might have already seen the sentry being up on the field just from spawn basically. So that will help a bit. Fun spawning on Pyro late here to deny this uber potential onto probably mostly the sentry gun.
Oh, Flash, he's been knocked away. Oh, it's a good thing the sentry gun didn't target him quick enough to actually get that scout kill. He was caught away from that Uber for just a second. They actually get some point pressure now onto the scout. He will lose his life, but that was a play for his team to start cleaning up these kills. He's put them all onto one spot. Maybe these splash classes can actually get some damage in, and Cadus will get 2 kills, and he does get an Umbrak kill, so they can't quite snowball this as well as they would want to over on the Ascent side, but they weren't expecting a defense like that on Se7en either.
Yeah, that was interesting, and again, Seeds just stays alive, which turns around all these questionable situations in just, they didn't win, but they just keep the advantage up. And in this case, it's quite a big one, 35% roughly on Seeds' Medigun. So, regardless of how they end up playing these last pushes, they still have something for another try.
Cadus goes down to an Elikor trap whilst we were waited with bated breath. Tiger will actually find the kill onto Josh in that lower area. They kind of rotate bodies from Ascent.
Goes down in the lower area. Everybody was happy that they got the kill in lower, and Chris just with the second play, killing the medic.
Yeah, they're actually getting some follow-up kills on this as well. You've got to think that they're thinking about pushing out over on Ascent now, and that's what they're doing. They're checking all the doorways, making sure every corner is clear, and I hope they're doing their checks thorough, because AMS is hiding in this cheese area around the corner, sees them through the window, but they can't see him with that second point actually capped off. AMS knows he cannot go for that back cap. He's just a lowly soldier.
Chris walked past, they spotted him, Chris went down, but
oh, Josh was low as well.
Tiger committed to that as well, and sniper, but no shots to be had there.
Yeah, they were hoping to maybe get some follow-up damage onto AMS's sort of damage thrown out at that cheese area. They will back off on this midpoint as they haven't got that Tiger equalizing sniper to play off, and this is all fine in Se7en's book. They've got time, they've got opportunities to bring this back like they've been doing all throughout the game, and Ascent, let's see if they can not make a mistake.
So early, just random damage.
Yeah, with him, he does pick up a health and goes back to his life. Elikor has been dying a lot in this game, dies again for the logs. And Chris does get some nice damage onto Se7en, but there's no follow-up, and too busy dealing with Tiger on this flank over in kitchen area. They get Josh in behind, does get the Seeds kill, but with just Ombrak and just Funds here, how long can Ombrak expect to survive? AMS is rolling out quickly. Is Elikor going to go down again? He's just arrived to the fight and he's already gained some hate. Oh, he's actually got a friend.
But Chris will dive him instead.
Yeah, Tiger was looking for the Elikor kill, finds the Chris kill instead. Tiger has been on fire, by the way. I'm not sure if you've noticed him.
What I did notice is that the idea Se7en had was kind of interesting on choke. They just wanted to bait people into choke and then like surround them. But Seeds was caught in all of that and just backfired. And again, they have 3 people hiding.
Oh, Adiski's in. He's kind of lagging behind. He's caught himself on some prop there. They've got Falash on the back cap, but it's going to be too late. Ombrak will get the death pipe from Kado. He comes back in to maybe block this point, but Falash's all his hard work was all for naught. He's going to have to play the catch-up game on that scout class while Ascent are bum rushing this second point, getting it capped up before Evil.
Credo chased down Seeds in all of that. Everybody was just taking random fights on Seeds.
Couldn't escape Credo. I think he's gonna knows that Falash is behind, doesn't want to come out of the spawn by himself, and very smart play from the Frenchman here, realizing that there's this scout behind. Josh comes out back to babysit his Frenchman, and Falash is still caught behind enemy's line.
Yeah, and I need to keep tabs on him because they've shown that the scouts are capable of doing really random aggressive things.
They've lost Tiger though. I mean, with Falash caught behind like this, he might as well just dead. It's 4v6 right now against Ascent, and can Se7en really pull this off without their Danishman? They're going in now, aggressing onto Adiski. He's all by himself. AMS will help him out. They actually lose 2 frags, bleeding players over on Ascent. They're trying to play the point. Falash has come back to actually fight with his teammate. It's just Elikor alive. He's going to have to show off while he's the #1 Demoman of the season, last season and this season potentially as well. He's being healed by his #1 medic friend behind him. They pop off the Uber. It's just Elikor alive. They're dancing around all of his pipes. He's got so much to reload and so much to kill. Everyone's respawning as well. Ombrak has to get out, and he will weasel his way out, but it costs him an Irishman, a leader. They're following Ascent back from the depths of hell. They're clapping the second point. Funds throws himself into the fire, and it will go back to Se7en.
That was a whole lot of weird, and in the end, Ascent just lost people way too early. Both of the soldiers going down so early for arguably some frags, but certainly not 2 valuable ones in the end, because it went on for so long. At the end, standing were just Ombrak and Elikor in the solo demo Uber, with Elikor also blowing all of his sticks so early that he just needs to reload shoot the entire time. And that's just not a good damage output for him.
Pushing in slowly on this right hand side. They want to overwhelm Josh, maybe see if they can get an early pick onto him. They actually get some early picks themselves on the center. They pop the Uber. Seeds finally gets it onto somebody, but it's just Falash, and then they're in the exact same scenario that Elikor was in this time. But it's a good thing he's got that scout move speed to follow him up, but the scouts are chasing him just as much as well. Ombrak will feel a little bit of that Falash hate, but doesn't quite subside into a kill. They will get a clean wipe against Se7en with this Ascent squad. They're chasing up the mid, they're chasing up the second. They should be aware that there's respawners in that forward respawn.
Yeah, Amps is sniping, he's ready for it, but their sticks, those sticks don't, or they need to be dead immediately, otherwise Amps gets a shot. But at this point it doesn't matter, they're safely indoors. Amps is way too late with his play. Sentry's already taken out, but we had this before, Ascent coming in without an Uber and just beefing the non-Uber push, so they need to step their game up.
Cadis is scattering them all around with his pipes and his sticky bombs. He's just laid out so much damage. There's no Uber to really be had because Ombrak was decided to build that Uber in the enemy last point. And look at all these players that are bleeding and dying on Ascent one by one. And you know the lyrics by now, Dom. Back the other way.
Yeah, they're just lacking any sort of aggression that the non-Uber pushes that just threatens Se7en in any way. Se7en can just respond with damage of their own, get all the picks the way they want, and yeah, suddenly Se7en has the position where they can just completely kill all momentum in this game whatsoever and play like they are used to playing.
Well, at this point, it looks like Se7en are waiting patiently. They're asking, tickets, tickets please. It's time to park this bus, and I hope you've got your bus pass. It is actually Se7en that are losing players. They're making it happen over on Ascent. They do lose a player to AMS, however, during all of this chaos, and they've got to keep making these pushes, and you've got to be a little bit scared if you're on the side of Se7en right now. With 3 minutes left, it's definitely doable for not only to Ascent to tie this out, but to win this. If they keep up this aggression, they've turned their heads all of which way they could deal with. They've dealt with the point now. They just have to deal with these last few plays, and it's Kado that's making these big plays happen. AMS is chasing the Credo kill, but Credo finds him instead with just the scouts against one lowly demo man. It's just Caesar Lies. He's going to have to delay this as long as he can, but the point finally gets on the board for Ascent, and the comeback is in the making right now, Dom.
Yeah, the third the third Bloodware push eventually works out for Ascent, and even that was just really hard fought for, and they needed these scouts to just arrive barely in time to make it work. So by no means an easy task for them to accomplish there on their own, but they needed another time in 2 minutes, let alone.
They need to make this sweeping over on Ascent right now if they want to get this round back quickly. Otherwise, Se7en could just dig their heels in, and that's some very decisive bombs coming out from Ascent and Co. They do trade in player advantage for both of these teams, but they do win out in a little bit of position. Good thing that AMS was there on that top high ground to actually get some position back against their team. Credo is kind of going a little bit huge right now, picking up a few of these kills. It's just him on his own. Palash will win with the buff, and Ombrak is time to go
exactly
to...
But he can't hit the saw. He needed just one to save himself, and his spawns were coming up pretty soon as well. Josh just arrives, so it would have helped so much, but Credo just died a little bit too early. They really wanted to just keep on playing off that, but Se7en came in swinging after they lost the initial fight. They just went aggressive regardless, and it worked out much better for them.
They're starting to feel it now, the doubt, the realization that it's probably going to go Se7en's way with just a minute left, and Seeds with a 100% Uber advantage. Now it is likely to go Se7en's way unless there's a catastrophic failure coming out from the Brits. So they will throw in everybody and pop off the Uber just to make sure, I suppose. Seeds was brushed up against. They do get Elocott and they do get Credo, big kills for them. They actually get the Josh who was trying to get behind as well. With 3 left, they can definitely sail this back to this last point. There's no defense set up for them to deal with. They've already capped that last point. They don't even have to kill the players. They just cap the objective, and it is 3-1 to the squad, and that is probably going to be our final match. I guess count.
Final round. Well, the final round probably with how little time there's left on the clock.
GGs have been called by both of these teams, and it will likely be 3-1. I mean, it will definitely be 3-1. I mean, there's 10 seconds left. They're just going to play it out just by the fact that it's TF2, and they, I mean, at the end of the day, they like playing TF2. But what a game, Dom. What a game. Very, very, very back and forth.
Yeah, but the way Se7en played is like simultaneously very like Se7en, but at the same time so different. Like they play with the same ideas, to just bait out mistakes from the other team and be able to retaliate consistently. But the way they go about getting those out of Ascent is much, much different from how they used to play in the past with this roster. Well, maybe not with this roster, but maybe that's exactly why it's different. The new roster lends itself to a slightly new playstyle that is quite a bit more aggressive, especially on last, but this Se7en team doesn't care about playing last perfectly because they won all the rounds on second, I want to say.
Well, while we're trying to load up those logs for you guys, Dum, have you got any man of the match or MVPs to award out here? Is there something the logs can't tell us in this match that we've just watched?
I want to say big props to Seeds. I don't want to say he had a bad start, but to his time on Se7en by any means, but definitely he was the one that needed to step up the most, and this was easily his most impressive performance I've seen so far. Just playing really well, avoiding a lot of dangerous situations, really impressively with good serves and just good positioning and all that. And that helped so much, where even Ombrak had comparably quite a few more slip-ups that allowed Se7en to just get forces out of Ascent, for example, where Se just soft safe and like refuse to take damage, basically.
Well, we do have logs up for you right now, and the stat I'm interested in, Dom, is I want to see the depths of Elikor, because it felt like throughout that entire match he was just dying a lot, caught out in these sort of little fights or these skirmishes that he had no right in dying in. There was only those signature times where Elikor is by himself. I remember in recent memory, like once. Every other time he was either getting caught by a scout or hit by a random bomb, and there we go. We actually see 17 deaths on the guy, and we do see that at least somebody was having a good time over on that Ascent roster, and it was Funds. He was being the janitor for the team, cleaning up, whipping out the sweeping bush, and finding those kills that Elikor couldn't actually kill out himself.
Yeah, we also had quite a few of those situations with Kradus or both scouts just completely playing the cleanup role pretty much. But as you mentioned, that alone won't win you a game if the other team just has a better cohesive playstyle as a group of 6 people. Then it just doesn't matter that you have 2 that still play on a similar level. It's just too much of a difference then.
Yeah, it seems the story for this game is the scouts were quite hot for Ascent, but the soldiers were not. They were dying between both of them. It seemed like they had a dual roaming thing going on. There were a few times where they were doing this double soldier ambush thing, or throwing both soldiers into the mix, kind of really force out these fights or this aggression, or really hammer home these attempts at Seeds' life. But I don't really remember any sort of results coming out from these 2 soldiers, and the scouts were just doing their scoutly thing, whilst over on the other side, Adiski, AMS was having a good game as well. And the fact that they're evening out on their kills and deaths compared to Josh and Chris leads me to believe that the soldiers won this for Se7en.
Yeah, I certainly think the soldiers had a big impact there for Se7en, just regardless of what the stats say. AMS had, well, I mean, not that any of the stats are terrible by any means, but AMS had a really strong showing. He likes playing the heal heavier style. In this case, he's only the 3rd most healed player on his team behind Splash and Kalis, which is a little bit surprising, especially considering how much damage he took, which is the most sort of anybody, even more than Elikor. And Adiski had really good plays. He's getting much better at getting those and converting of them. Some really good stuff coming out from him as the roamer as well. And it just showed that Josh and Chris, compared to that, didn't have nearly as much to bring to the table this game.
Yeah, just to remind everybody who might have just joined us halfway through that map, or through just at this very moment, they have actually won the map against Ascent's map pick. So Snakewater, that we've just witnessed, was the pick for Ascent. They, by all means, should have walked away with that in a way, feeling comfortable, but not only did they lose, but it looked kind of convincing, just a tad for Se7en in these later stages of the game. It was just that dang last point, Dom.
Yeah, but I just scrolled down on my logs because I apparently again have issues with keeping my browser up before the game starts, so I just need to open them myself. But what I see when I scroll down on the team comparison stats is, and that means not too much for the game, but the same amount of kills for both teams, exactly 107, and apart from each other by less than 600. And like, just looking at that, it looks so close, but then you actually like remember how the game went, and Se7en played so much more in control the entire time, and it's just like, that just shows how little the stats mean sometimes if the playstyle is just so much better over the other team, regardless of what the logs say.
So we're going into our second map of the evening now. That is Badlands. This was the pick for Se7en. Do you think these teams are panicking at this point, Dom? When you've lost your own map pick, it must be going through their minds that this is the recipe for a quick sweep.
Yeah, Omweg mentioned after the interview last week that they are not too fond of Badlands, and having to play it here against the only other team that can really consistently beat them at in some capacity it will not be a fun time for Ascent unless they have some massive improvements. Although I heard in Ombrek's stream just before the game started that Josh has some secret strat that he doesn't want to reveal what Ombrek is streaming. So maybe those will help, but it would need to be some massive stuff coming out of Josh's brain to change this up, in my opinion. I think Se7en should have this in the bag, honestly.
Maybe this was a play from the beginning, Dum. You throw out a little nonchalant, oh, we don't like Badlands very much in an interview, and then
well, I mean, it's not that that comes without any precedent of them struggling on Badlands, almost losing to Omni 500 in the regular season, so...
It was all a play for this moment, Dum. This very moment right here that they've manufactured for the upper bracket final. They know that they need to win this if they want all the chances to win the grand final. If they can make it, either of the teams, that is. Because we still got two other teams that are still clamouring for this spot. But, yeah, I'm sure it was all a play, all a massive ruse just for this one map. Are you ready, Dum?
Yeah, it will all show now.
Right, we have gone live. ETF2L Season 29, Premiership coverage, playoff, upper bracket final for those not paying attention. Se7en versus Ascent.EU for those really not paying attention. I'm TurboTabs, I am joined by Dum, hamaham on production again, and the first thing I'm seeing on mid, Dum, is a bomb coming out from Josh and Credu, and they do get the kill onto a Disky, but a soldier for and scout for Aroma was not a good trade, and with Chris throwing his life, he actually gets the seeds. Yeah, they just need to keep Ombrak alive, but they've only got 2 players to work with against all these players of Ascent. They lose Elikor as well. I think Ombrak might actually go down. He gets a slice out of Flash, gets the kill and pops the Uber, but there's nobody to come and save him. Josh, please, and Josh actually answers the call. He comes just in the nick of time with his finished scout as well. Oh, what a miracle play that is, Ombrak and Ascent.
And at the end of the day, it's even exactly equal numbers. Well, it was just a second ago. But with these picks, they actually have the ability to just move into second and threaten Se7en out of it completely. So, really clutch stuff coming out from Kadu and Josh N. Up to Ombrek for not just giving up there as well, because situations like those always look so sad, but it just barely worked out.
Yeah, you're right, Dom. I know some medics that would hit kill bind quicker than they could shout medic. But Ombrak refused to give up. He got the slice off, got the kill into Flash, and coordinated this with his team, however, as well. Sometimes, if you don't actually appear communicative in these teams, a lot of these sort of little rescue missions go unglossed or a bit inefficient, but Ascent boys have backed up your boy Ombrak, and with 100% on both of these teams now, it is a nice stalemate because of that little result.
Yeah, Ascent can be so happy with this stalemate, honestly, as stupid as that might sound, but it's so much better than what it would have been if Ombrak just died. Now they still need to make some plays in the first place though, and calling out AMs in-house is certainly a good start as they make some moves in Valley, but Se7en has a lot of time to react to that. Chris rotates over to house, he wants to at least, but sticks and some rockets by Adiski hold him off from going anywhere, and with that, his entire team as well back to mid.
Adiski does go down, and they're throwing in Chris because he's done so well to get the kill onto AMS in the flank, but see, it's kind of caught out in no man's land for a brief moment there, but we'll just call that an elaborate bait against Funds.
Kradus from behind eventually finds the force onto Seed. They threw so much resources to get that force out, but they got it so far back that it might actually work out perfectly in the end. The Uber has faded by the time Se7en thinks about moving into mid, and they still want to go off the picks, but it's getting worse and worse by the second. Elaku with a nice pick onto AMS. Tiger behind lines taken down as well, and the Uber comes out really far back from Ascent, but they have people to jump forward, get some picks, kill out Flash, and then just keep it on break.
It was going so well for them, Dom. They've actually found the follow-up kills and the chase kills that they were really desperately needing over on that Center Uber, and to lose Ombrak, it's got to be bitter, but it's still a little bit sweet to get that second point.
Yeah, that was really nicely done by Adiski, just staying there and getting their pick when it's needed. Sad player is staying in lobby maybe a little bit too long, wanting to catch out 7 players with like a passive hold, but by the time they arrive, they're already dead. Tiger overextends a little bit without his team, but it won't matter too much. 7 already on the move out, and 3 people up on Ascent, only 2 fragging classes at that, with Ombrek being one of the 3. So 7 can just comfortably take this for now, and with the advantage they have, they can keep this momentum up any way they want.
I know they're feeling pretty happy over on Ascent. Got some of the adrenaline flowing through the veins on some of these players, but that was a bit aggressive for my liking there, Dum. The fact that they didn't have any medic and they went into the base to try and get some additional picks, and realizing this, that Se7en just killed their medic. They've got no heals to work with. They just started chipping away at them, and the kills kept following them one by one. And the Uber comes in now from Se7en. They don't quite find the follow-up like Ascent did with their Uber, and they're just going to be happy with the midpoint. But they've got an Uber charge over on Umbrak very, very soon, and they're thinking about making a push in from this house.
Yeah, Se7en took quite a long time here with their push into it, and they didn't catch anything with the Uber, so leapfrog situation. Ascent now in the driving seat, trying to make some plays happen, but so far nothing happens. Tiger eventually does go down on the flank. They did get a lot of damage onto seats, but nobody can follow up fast enough. I'm just hiding in the bush, and Credo eventually finds him.
Oh my god, that entire time he spent hiding in the bush, he watched his teammates die, he looked at all the problems he had to deal with.
But in the meantime, seats went down, and Ombrek just barely surfs their rocket out by a Disky into house to stay alive. 2 people up. Ascent clearly in a dominant position right now.
Yeah, they are going to waste a little bit of time having to cap this second point a bit awkwardly. They're already throwing some sort of pushing into the Se7en base right now. Ascent just getting buffed up. They've got an Uber charge ready. I think they will wait for that Uber charge before they make the push in, as well as get some of those cappers from the second point.
But they still need to break this hold. It's classic battle situation. There's a pyro, there's a sentry, and even with all the Uber you can deny the enemy was so much, and here it comes.
They opted in with Elikor and Funds, and it's so much work just to actually get the sentry gun down. Are they actually going to get it down? They get the flash kill over against the pyro. That's good. And they sort of technically get the sentry gun kill, but it gets he switches out his class before you get a chance to see it, and the rest of Ascent just suffer for this play. Ascent are being farmed. They've only got a few players left. It's a good thing Credo is just such a deviant.
And now Elikor was fully ahead here.
Oh, Disky fires at his own feet. Oh, good thing he fired at Elikor's feet on the third rocket there. It was looking a bit troubled for the Highlander main, but he will get the kill. They've got this.
Ascent can't be too happy with that. They wanted to collapse on 7 on the right side in the later half of that push, but it was them getting collapsed on in the end. Ombrek died. Both of the soldiers that jumped in got cleaned up. They did get seats, which makes this a whole lot better right now, so they don't give up second for it, but still, obviously you didn't win a round, so you can't be too happy. And Amps on Spy, and I think he got spotted immediately. Credo just accidentally bumped into him. So Spy play completely negated before it can even start. So Amps back to last.
Yeah, he will have the luxury of it being Badlands, and he can backspawn from that forward respawn area, so fortunate for that guy there. They're going to build this Uber between both of the teams. It should have them about the same time, and they've got not only a sentry gun to deal with, but a pyro to deal with over on Ascent as well. They've got some cannonballs. The loose cannon whipped out in good Kado trademark fashion.
Yeah, notoriously annoying to deal with on Badlands last. I don't know. Ooh!
Oh, what
happened? Amps from behind. What
How did
can't
that even
be done
happen?
with Spy? He just jumps up there on Soldier. He was just waiting the entire time for that to work out.
A new AMS. He's been saying all these years, why can't the Spy just rocket jump? So instead he just plays the Soldier as a pseudo Spy, comes in from behind and gets the clean 1-2 rocket punch onto Ombrak. He didn't see it coming at all. They've actually got a Disky with that buff banner, so they've got another reason to make a clean push out of this Se7en last defense. And with the second point given away, gotta help but wonder if they're gonna give away this midpoint over on Ascent as well.
Yeah, that buff banner, or Tanya's backup rather, was interesting because it was mostly just used as a safety mechanic. Because by the time it got popped, there were still people in lobby, but the damage protection just made it so much harder to get any playstyle, so nobody even wanted to consider it. And Se7en just pushes with that instead of Uber as the threatening factor here. And it worked out just fine. They still had the advantage until here on mid, when they eventually had to make use of it.
Well, with a rather safe Uber push into mid, they do have the Uber advantage now for Ascent. They get it out just as quickly as they build it, and Adiski is hiding in that shithouse area. He has gone unnoticed. They actually get a trade kill onto Funz, who was extending for a frag, but AMS even sending a message, was that worth? And he's saying not really. They actually get a clean dry push from this
but Adiski got
area.
airborne, he's on Omberg. Omberg stops it the other way around. Adiski can't find the frag just yet, and that is it. Omberg protects himself from Adiski there in the backline. That was actually such a nice idea from Se7en, just coming in aggressive and throw in Adiski at the same time. But it just shouldn't be, as Ascent is ready to protect themselves from it.
That's twice now done. We've seen two soldiers hiding in a random area, and it's all gone tits up for both of these teams when they play off that soldier play. But they will get a second point for over on Ascent. They're happy to finally take their turn of winning for a change. And I just want to remind you, Dom, it's still 0-0. You can cut the tension with a knife.
Yeah, it also was supposed to be Se7en's pick, but Ascent maybe not completely in control as in how Se7en was on Snake, but still I think they have a bit of the upper hand so far in this matchup, but obviously none of that resulted into anything close to a round, and they want to go in now to make it happen.
Yeah, they get Funz in, they get Elacore in as well. They've got a Pyro and a Sentry Gun to deal with. They will be happy to get the Sentry Gun down, but Pyro does not go down. Funz gets cleaned up rather early by Tiger, dropping down to that lower ground. Even gets a bit of Uber love to start making the chase onto Chris, who is backed up by his Frenchman, DuMmTm. Puts some stickies onto the point, and Cadus knows that with the stickies on the point, there's nothing really covering that point right now. We'll get cap time relatively quickly of that second point. They've got an Uber charge advantage for Ascent, but I don't think Se7en are going to care. They're going to make this aggression play onto choke, and this is why we use Ubers here, Dom, at this part of the game. It's because it's called choke for a reason.
Well, apparently for multiple reasons, because Se7en, that's where they choked apparently, but on last, to throw it back a little bit, that was interesting by Ascent, because they certainly overestimated their advantage they had that time around. And again, the Ubers are close, but it won't come into play because they just walked us in with the picks they had, played it slow and controlled, so it won't matter this time. And this time you can't, or you shouldn't be able to, realistically, to miscalculate the Uber situation, because they should be well aware that it's even now.
What is it about these last pushes that have been going wrong for Ascent here, Dom? We've seen two of them now, and they've gone down in similar fashion against this engineer, against this Pyro, and I feel like I'm seeing sort of a pattern here.
I don't know, it just takes a long time to break in on the left side, and by the time they get stuff going on the other side with the rotating soldiers coming in there, it just is way too late. People are already starting to die, and last time obviously they came in too late. Seed got his Uber already, and they just lost 3 people and got pushed all the way to second.
Is there something you'd like to see out of Ascent? Maybe a different play or a way, or maybe a little fix to their current play right now that do you think that could improve things?
I don't know, they just... Se7en is ready for how Ascent is approaching these last pushes completely. They need some different start to it completely, or just fix all these little mistakes that they have. Just taking a long time on the left, for example, is already a good start, and yeah, it's just so tough to respond to this.
What about a spy, or maybe a sniper?
Or maybe 2 spies.
Or 2 spies? They're actually doing 2 spies. Is this the secret strat that Josh was talking about?
That would certainly be a surprise.
Oh wait, I wonder. Oh, actually, is Credo back in the respawn area as spy, just to kind of throw off Se7en's little
no, he's actually going
class check?
But at the same time, you mentioned there was another spy on Se7en's side, things, so...
Yeah, they know that there's a spy around here, and they're checking with the Pyro, but maybe with both Chris and Credo on that spy, it might tarnish the spy check, or the class check of these counter spies from Se7en.
Chris is close, he wants to go for play, but Flash spots him on the engineer. He zaps the sentry, not the sentries, the teleporters. So that won't help him doing anything.
Oh man, Tiger's being such a pest as this Pyro throws.
Credu eventually got the backstab for his others by team members, so they must be aware that there's double spy on the field.
Yeah, but what use is Credu now? He's wasted his one stab, his little surprise against Flash of all people, and they've got a Pyro, and they actually find him with a Disky instead. The Highlander main, of course, would find the spy.
Yeah, I don't know what the great idea that was. They committed 2 players for an NG pick, and then like they already lost way too much at that point to be able to do anything off of that, so that was just... If that was the big strat, then they should certainly go back to the drawing board, because that won't go anywhere. At that point, just feeding into last and going for the double spy backup is probably more effective.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't do that. I remember every team has gone through that stage where you've looked at the spy and like, spy times 2, huh? And not as potent as it used to be where the bad
We see the crowd heavy living up to his profile picture with a shade of heavy thrown over the Ascent picture. So, a classic TF2 strat that, at least on Badlands, I haven't seen in quite a while.
Yeah, why do you not see Heavy so much nowadays? Is it because of this instance where AMS gets behind and kills you on his own and then gets the back spawn? Is that the reason people don't play Heavy at this last point anymore, Dum?
I don't know, so many people just don't have the right timing for it, and it requires a push where you just get clean in, get an exchange, don't lose anything, preferably get an advantage, even just a single pick would be good out of the exchange, and on Badlands last night is so strong that it's just so difficult to get anything off of this. And here they come, they try, they get Tiger early, Sentry goes down quickly too, Pyro forces Diva pretty late, but he does.
Yep. So, a lot of people on fire, they've actually taken out all the buildings with the Pyro. I can see that being quite effective, really. Can't reflect back to person, I suppose, as they go for a point player on Ascent. They throw their own Pyro on there to kind of knock him off, but Kalis beats him to the punch, as not only does he get the Josh kill, who was aggressing onto the point, but gets Elacor, who was being the trap as well. They've still got this Heavy kind of bouncing around over on the second point, not really knowing what to do with him.
Yeah, that seemed so improvised by Ascent, not planned out at all. They just kind of see what sticked at the end there after the Heavy died, just kind of tried to make it work anyway, and it just really didn't. And now they're stuck with Credu, which wouldn't be so bad if it wasn't still a tight game. So yeah, push will certainly be a little bit more difficult, but at the same time, it's a nice little thing to have against jumpers coming into your medic, as long as he's keeping his eyes open. But Credu is the one wanting to make the plays, and that's not quite happening. Tiger's still on Pyro. Pyro is, let's face it, it's broken, we all know it. And it would be a solid choice if not for the Heavy, because obviously Heavy does kind of the same thing, except worse in most situations, except with long range, which makes him better in the head-to-head matchup. So it's kind of not too great for Tiger right now.
Yeah, it seems that Tiger's just been an absolute pest on this Pyro as well, using that detonator or the other sort of Pyro flare gun to kind of get everyone on fire, reduce their heal rate down a little bit. They've brought in Chris, who gets some damage out to hopefully follow up.
Heavy Pyro train, who doesn't know it?
Oh, Chris actually wins out on the little chase on that house area. Good thing Flash is there to back up his boy and follow up on the damage as well. So trade for between both of these teams and still 0-0.
Yeah, and with the weird off classes off the field now, things will probably go a bit more normal. Funz just goes into choke aggressively, but fails to kill either Cadus or Seeds. So nothing dangerous actually happened there, even though it certainly should have been. And just as I said, we don't have off classes anymore. We have the Spy against the Sniper, so more rock, paper, scissors with teams unaware of it.
I think AMS is using that, the old Invis watch as well. He is a true old school TF2 player through and through, and goes in behind. He's got the... Oh, he bluffs up the stab against Umbra. Credu gets the close range headshot against AMS. What are the reactions on that boy?
That was impressive to say the least. Here comes the counter reaction. Josh jumps in. Chris tried as well. Neither of them get any fast Seeds, takes about 80 damage, stays alive though, and that is the sense playtime over. Now it's Se7en back in the driver's seat, making the move, taking the exchange into mid here.
Yeah, Elacor is getting a fat solid of an Uber on his own, and chase out Se7en in this house area. Actually, he's caught by himself. Oh, did anybody get the number plate on that speeding Kado that came through the choke there?
Chris,
He
they
just
got to
wished.
see on a point, and everybody on Ascent is still trying to make their plays. Well, maybe not everybody, but Fans was certainly as well. Josh in still as well. Credo sniping, so I take that back. It's in fact everybody.
Oh my god, this man is an absolute machine on sniper, and he's going to go down though. Machines can be disassembled if you've got the right technician. Tiger bums rush him, gets him down. AMS actually gets a kill as well into the house area against Josh, who's hopefully following up against Kradu's damage, but no dice. It's going to be a 7 mid just by the little scraps of it.
But Ascent wants to contest this. They have a little bit of hope. A nice pipe by Naku, but only one of those isn't enough to kill Cadus, so he stays alive. And with this small little initial aggression here being dealt with, Se7en finally can settle on mid. He certainly didn't want it to take this long to get this midpoint, but the Uber by Omwork and Alako started out being really nice. They committed a little bit too deep at the end, and Alako ended just overextending, and that certainly dealt a whole lot of damage to the entirety of that fight on mid at the end. Keeping Alako alive would have helped a whole lot, maybe would have turned this around, but Se7en making quick care of the overextending Devilman turns this completely around back in the favor, so we are back with Se7en on mid now, and another Uber stalemate.
Yeah, with 10 minutes left, it's likely to stand that whoever wins this round, this very, very, very long round, sees the door he wants to get out of. He might get killed by Josh, and he will. It's actually Elcor that gets the kill, but they will try and follow up, maybe get a kill on Tom Brack. They did actually find that kill on Tom Brack before I finished my own sentence, and things have just gone insane right now. Kradu is still kicking about on that sniper, Bally of all places, and Ascent will prosper. They will get that midpoint. Elicor's already sticking up traps over in that house area. Flash snipes from that lower area, and the snipers have that awkward exchange where they know where each other sniper is and have a panicked little look at each other, but doesn't quite find the kill. Kradu gets bombed into the wrong part of the map, goes down as well, and Flash reminding people that he's still a pretty good sniper and not to forget about him.
Yeah, that was a whole lot of strange. Kradu eventually got like caught off guard so much that he just like made the wrong decision, jumped down, couldn't escape. He needed a great surf to begin with, but that certainly didn't help with that a whole lot, and Se7en spawners just were too fast with the forward spawn, so arriving in time, winning the little fight. There wasn't even a huge one. Chris is still behind in all of this, but they have 3 people looking back, which would be good if Chris knew about that, because anything could be done with that, but...
Oh, AMS, he finds him, he hunts him down, he gets the kill. It was a nice air shot from Chris to kind of make a fight of it, but AMS had his number.
And it's still a tight game, but I've seen significantly slower ones on Badlands, so it's not too...
Elcor, he's gone down. Josh, he's gone down. That's the right hand side for 3. They're spamming out the sentry gun. That's the sentry gun down. 7th member. 4 Ascent have gone down. It's a point pressure. Ombrak's the only one defending it. The soldier actually decides to go upstairs to the point, above the point, and will go down to the flames. And Ascent is somehow still making a good defense of this. You couldn't ask for a better start for Se7en. There's DuMmTm. They still can't get this last point in check.
Yeah, they committed to Uber to get just purely frags, and sure they gotten those, but they just couldn't shoot Omwek fast enough to get the Uber out early. Solid Uber, and yeah, people just got sandwiched between a Pyro and a Scout behind them, and that is killing people faster than anything.
Oh, they know where Adiski is. They've fallen for it. So, well, before they knew, they actually threw a rocket down in the hope that that was good enough, and I guess they were so confused why it didn't work.
Tiger sniping from Valley, killing Funds, which is good and all, but it's certainly not the biggest rank you can get here. And without an Uber on their own, they certainly needed something bigger than that. Still 2 pick classes on field, won't help much there. Ooh, nice little headshot, but again, it didn't kill anyone.
Yeah, but Tiger is in a horrible position now. He's being chased by Kradu. Actually has to turn around and deal with Flash instead, with a sniper and a scout to deal with. Actually wins because Chris comes to bail him out of that little issue. Oh, Kradu does go down to a
so much
pokes his head out.
They actually get the force, just standing, not amped, Disky I think it was, standing on Spire, just spamming it. There was so much stuff going on, they just weren't able to deal with everything at the same time. Solid force, Fun's wanting to get one of his own, not too successful with that.
Nice pipe. Nice pipe coming out from Elacor, the pipe master, and Seeds does pop off his Uber, but can't really find any patience to get an Uber charge onto, at least not in a position to get some kills. Elacor reminds him that he has some stickies and he's not afraid to use them. Tiger is weaseled his way out of the flank area. Nobody's watching the flank. Elacor will go down to said flank, and Chris is left with the egg on his face. He's got no friends on this midpoint. Funds is a little late to the party, will manage to get away with some snacks, and Ombrak, he is still alive, he is still kicking, he's still got an Uber kind of bubbling away, but they haven't really got a chance to kind of settle a nice place to build that said Uber, and they're going to have the second point cleanly over on Se7en right now, and they should have their own Uber just in time for Ombrak's Uber.
Yeah, clean conversion from Se7en, making it all the way back to second. And now, once again, I think I mean, it's easy to say we had this a couple of times because this round has been going on forever now. But we've certainly had Ascent before last, just trying to hold onto it. And certainly in much worse situations than this, even Uber situation in this case. They held on to last holes much worse than this. So now it's more a question, can they break out of it successfully?
Ooh. Double soldier bomb, well, I say bomb, more like double soldier spam on that bottom left hand side. The classic move on this Badlands, as they do get the Chris kill. They're trying to force the point. AMS is just nonchalantly taunting on the point. No one to actually deal and defend this last point. It's just Funds left, but he's just a scout. What can he do? It's a good thing he's actually surviving for so long, but not long enough. They will get the round, and it's just 4 minutes left.
That was something. People died so quickly all over Ascent before Se7en was able to make the entry, and that just changed everything. Just there's the ability to find these frags where they needed them the most, and Ascent in shambles right now, working so hard to stay in this round so many times, and just coming to an end with just 4 minutes left on the clock now.
If you thought Se7en was difficult to puncture earlier, imagine what they're like now that they've got a round up, and knowing that if they just play a good defense, they will win this out.
But Disky with a free kill with killing Ombrak as well, and the late kill onto Josh at the end. Such a great play.
It does make me wonder if this is those sort of plays done where you think that it's not the optimum play, but I've got to do something. It's that time where I know this isn't the correct play, but there's only 3 minutes left and I have to do something, so they just start playing stupid, because at least stupid is something to throw out here. And Credo, he's trying to flank them from this left hand side, but gets spotted immediately. They're playing for the Spire because
they're actually getting the picks of the Uber though.
And the Credo will go down because he throws himself into that Uber charge. Ombrak has got around 30%, and a few players actually hold on to the second point, but it's in backcap territory. They take care of one of those backcappers, that's a Disky, and AMS and Flash have just come back to the world of living well. It's very safe to say that Ascent can make this push in onto second point, but you can't help but think they're a bit sheepish about any sort of Flash play, but Flash is actually playing on Sniper right now.
Yeah, that will be interesting. Badlands second is a really long sideline to work with, assuming people come from choke, otherwise it's a bit worse. But he tries anyways, and he sees them coming. It is actually hitting.
Oh my god, he actually gets the kill.
And that kills so much momentum. Ascent, as you mentioned, had to do some non-optimal stuff, I want to say, like unsafe plays on Badlands Spy on the other side. And fun feed, but it's successful feed.
Kratos in as well. He's just come wrapped around. The scouts have run this back from the brink, and they're capping out to this second point. It's a shame they both take the same door and end up dying. Or was that Josh? Yeah, I believe it was Josh. But still not good. Chris is only kicking around 50 HP to cap this second point. You'd think somebody would start contesting him, but nope. AMS
wants a bigger pick. He wants Ombrak as he comes from choke. Will he actually manage to do it? No, he can't hit the last rocket. And Chris and Co are there to save him.
2 minutes left. That's definitely enough time in FPS land to make this last push happen, but whether or not it will happen the way they want it to is another question to be hold.
But they're playing aggressive non-Uber and they're getting clicks early, Disky down. But the Everett is there, Pyro just doing what the Pyro is best. And it's almost a complete wipe. Ombrak weak on the escape, but there's a Pyro chasing him, and he takes the wrong turn, drops down. easy pick for Flash. And that's exactly what you mentioned. Ascent, like the entire time, from Spire to Spire, basically, like from that second to this point, was just playing aggressively, not safe at all, arguably not optimal, but taking Se7en by surprise. And it was working for such a long time as well. But eventually that's the stark realization that Badlands Stars is maybe not that easy to push.
Is Josh gonna die here to fire? Is he actually? Oh my god, Humbrat comes in just close enough. That was so close. Flash almost getting the kill onto all these respawners here with the flames from such a long range, and with Humbrat dying so late in that fight, it meant that they've got no heals to kind of pepper out that fire.
Well, it's 50 seconds now, so it's a do or die situation, and at the moment it's Ascent dying more than anything. Adiski finds 2 at the same time. Big play in house. Alaku finds a counterfrag, but how much does this matter now? Querdu coming in from behind. He wants to take down Siege, but Siege has an Uber now, and everybody's with him, protecting him where they need him to be. Funds also everybody just doing plays on their own, but everybody is just dying. Backup coming out by Omberg and Alakur, but I don't think it's enough time-wise.
AMS has actually gone to deal with the back cap himself instead of just making the easy call and jumping onto the Spire with his friend. And the GGs have been thrown out between both of these teams. It's 1-0, it's 10 seconds left, and it means I'm correct on bow in my presence as Se7en have taken away this upper bracket final in a nice 2-map, 2-0 clean sweep.
That were 2 quite different maps, to be honest though. Just Snake wasn't by any means just an all Se7en show, but much more in the control, much more played the way they wanted to. And Ascent had so much more of a presence here, but just couldn't convert into last. Where Se7en arguably struggled themselves too, but if it works once, where it doesn't work at all on the other side, that's enough.
Well, you've got me wondering here, Dum, if these maps were so different, does that mean our MVPs were different? What's your, I guess, opinion in your analysis role of the MVP for this round, or this map, I should say?
One thing that stood out to me was Adiski having a load of good plays on this map. He had a couple on Snake, but on this map it was quite a bit more so even, I would say, and it helped them so much, just so many good picks coming out from him, solid forces onto Omweg where they really needed them, and stuff like that can make such a big difference.
We've got the logs loaded up for you right now, and I wish there was a easy person to kind of pin on who had a good game, who had a bad game, but there's no easy answers here, it looks like, Dom. I'm looking at the charts, and you do see some sort of kills and deaths and whatnot a little bit lower between both of these teams, but it was just so close that, say, Ascent have just got to be kicking themselves, because they felt like they could definitely have won this one if things just went a little bit different.
Yeah, for sure, this was such a close map, and Ascent were so often just on the brink of bringing it back, and at the end as well, with just the complete aggression coming out of them, because time was against them once they lost a round. They actually made it work for way longer than I expected them to. They just played into Se7en the entire time without stopping, and it took Badlands last and off classes to finally put a hold to that.
Nod to AMS and his damage output during the map, as whenever I had the camera on AMS, he was always doing something. He was spamming players out, he was looking at these little close choke point areas, seeing if he can get some kills or some damage, any sort of thing he can contribute to his team, and it shows in the logs. I mean, he does get some purple hearts here and there for his contributions. If he's going to play hard, he's also going to die hard from time to time, but I can't help but think that some of these moments wouldn't have been without AMS.
Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't say I was hugely skeptical of him coming in as the pocket at the beginning of this new roster, but I expected him to do not nearly as good as he did in the end, and it shows how well he's already being adapted into this new lineup for Se7en, and it works just so good for them. He's certainly the tank. If you just compare, well, I mean, the heals for him and Cadis are actually in Cadis' favor, but he's the damage taker. He leads the charge, and yeah, as you mentioned, it shows he just does all the stuff up front for his team, and he deals the damage, he takes the damage. He is just in the front lines at all times.
Yeah, having a more thorough look at these logs, and I made the conclusion that if the scouts were kind of the reason or the performance makers for that last map, and if there's anything to look at, it's probably the soldiers. AMS and Disky, you even gave that man of the match towards the end there, where they were doing some work between both of them. The fact that Adisky has a positive kill-to-death ratio on Romo is a bit surprising to me and should be noted by everybody here.
Yeah, the difference between the soldier impact was quite significant once more, and it's quite unfortunate to see for Ascent, because you know that these guys just have the ability to play on the level that Se7en brings to the table, but just doesn't happen in the head-to-head matchup, does it? And that alone just already makes this such more Se7en favored already, and yeah, it just shows. And if we just actually completely off point here right now, but just look at the damage stat, and AMS is actually a clean, well, not a clean, but just about 100 damage per minute above the second highest damage, which is Cadus. That is such a big difference.
I mean, it's hard because it was a calm game. There were times where there were stalemates and there were a lot of clean sweeps and sort of rolling back and running away. And in times like that, the pocket soldier's going to be happy. He's always in the combo. He's always fighting. He's going to get Ubers. He's can be the one that can spam and jump back and all this stuff and actually do a significant amount of damage with his spam. But it could also be seen as sort of that damage that doesn't do anything as well, but only I have my right to say, like, the stuff that AMS was doing was worthy of, I guess, the damage stat, basically. But there are times where the soldier's going to prosper in these stalemates, that's all. Alright, so we've been for the logs. I think we've gone through them as much as we can. I guess it's time to go to our most notorious part of the evening. It is our interview stage. So we are dragging in the gamers quickly one by one. So we are greeted by AMS from Team 7. We also are joined by Ombrak from Ascent.EU. And finally we've got Tiger, also from Team 7. So first I'm going to address the 7 boys. Congrats guys, a 2-0 best of 3 victory. Congratulations, how are you feeling?
Very good.
Yeah, feels good, man.
Alright, and Ombrak, how are you feeling after a match like that?
It's always the same. Every time we're really close and in the end we lose, so kind of not hopeless, but it's getting old a bit, you know.
Ombrak, please, you're gonna make me cry. Alright, Ombrak, tell me, what went wrong? We were just guessing, but I'm sure you guys have a better grip of what went wrong or right for your team in these 2 matches.
Last pushes.
Last pushes. What is it about your last pushes, Ombrak? Is it just going down too early, going down too late, communication? What is it about these infamous last pushes?
I don't know. From when you play it, it's really hard to get a grasp on what's happening, and like except like right after the game, it's pretty hard to tell. But I think we have a hard time managing our health, like individually. Everyone is taking a lot of damage, and it's really hard to keep everyone afloat. So then everyone dies at the same time. There's no situation where we lose one, but then we have everyone else healthy enough to keep on the fight. Everyone is healthy for a while, and then everyone is getting weak at the same time, and everyone dies at the same time. So it's like we're waves, you know, and it's not really working well so far, and we need to fix that somehow.
AMS, Tiger, you did win the match in 2 maps, in, I would say, maybe not comfortable fashion, but it was a smidgen bit better than your opposing teams, but this stuff must have gone wrong for you guys as well. Was there anything in your game that you were disappointed with tonight?
Yeah, we blew.
Yeah, honestly, we didn't have the best night. Like, we played pretty good, like, overall, but we have a lot of, like, very weak points in the team right now. It's like a pretty new lineup, obviously, so there's gonna be some problems, but like we had a pretty like easy warm up, so I feel like everybody went into the match like pretty confident, like maybe a bit overconfident, and then like our comms were really bad. Like this team really needs like clean comms to function properly. When everybody's like shouting and calling when they're like doing stuff, like no matter what they're doing, like even the smallest comms are all there. It's like it's too much. It's like our biggest problem at the moment for sure. Is we need to have clean comms.
Tiger, what about you? Is there anything about the gameplay tonight that you were disappointed with?
Yeah, we just blew fat dick. If we'd have played properly, we would have been so much more comfortable.
Well, we tried to play properly, but someone just kept feeding.
Now, it's kind of hard for our audience out there to realise whether or not you guys are playing at your best or playing at a lower level. If you could maybe give me like a 10 out of 10, how do you rate your gameplay tonight playing against Ascent?
About a 3.
A 3? Hot damn. AMS, what about you?
I think for this roster, that's pretty new. Like we got some people like Seeds that are really new to Prem. I think it's fine. Like I think that performance was okay. I don't know, like I'd give it a 7 out of 10 or something. But if it's just made like some adjustments and we listened to Cadis more and we had better comms and we actually didn't like just feed all the time, we would like it would be so much easier for us. Like we would struggle so much less and we could capitalize on our advantages so much more.
I was giving myself a 3, by the way. Like, not
he was giving himself a 3. What would you give the team then?
Team 7.
7. Hey, I just got that. Dear God. Ombrak, that's kind of a cool question to follow you up with as well. What would you... It's a bit cruel almost, kind of judging your teammates after a time like this. Maybe you can just put it in your own sort of performance like Tiger did. What did you rate your gameplay or your team's gameplay tonight?
I don't know. I feel we did okay, but we've just not enough, considering we lost both maps. I don't know. I really didn't play good on the Snake because like I'm playing on a new PC and I'm not used to have the game working properly, so I have to get used to that as well. So
the game is working too well now.
Yeah, exactly. Like when you jump from a laptop 60 Hz to 144 Hz and decent FPS, the game is actually really different. So
your eye is not used to all the detail.
Yeah, it feels the game is really slower because I see more stuff. So I know I didn't really play it really well in the first one.
Your excuse, actually, your PC is too good now.
Yeah, exactly. And I stepped up on the second map, but I was a bit late. I don't know. I feel like we did okay. I'm not gonna give a grade because I feel like it doesn't mean anything.
Ouch.
So I'm sorry, but I don't know, we did okay. But of course, there's a lot of room for improvement, especially considering how Se7en was shit according to them.
Well. So there's always a part of my little questions where I always say, did the maps play a part? And then you guys say, no, they didn't play a part. We're all good at all of the maps. And I say, why did you ban this? And you're like, well, you know why we banned this. We know that. Yeah. So we'll gloss over all of that tonight.
I think that was relevant actually to my video.
Okay, all right. God damn it.
I mentioned it, but Turbo didn't want to believe me.
All right. Okay, Ombrak. What is the strange thing about the map picks and bans tonight that is gone over my head? It seems.
If you checked our recent games against Se7en on balance, you can see 5-0, 5-0, 5-0. And for the first time, it was a close one. So.
So you're feeling pretty proud, if anything. Then you want to lay claim.
At least this is something we've done. I like knowing them. I'm pretty sure when they went onto balance, they were expecting a easier map than what they got. So at least that's good.
Step by step, making the matchup closer. I see, and it's just in quotation marks the upper bracket final. So you can certainly afford to at least take this loss, but. There's still 2 more matches for you to be played this season at best, assuming you make the lower bracket final happening, which you would imagine you are able to do that, right, Ombrak?
I hope. I don't know.
Oh damn!
If we prep properly, we should meet these guys again. So yeah, like I'm not gonna maybe like I don't really remember the names. I think it's Omni5 and the Germans, but. Who knows, maybe they will just have a huge boost and play really well, or we play like really poorly, and I'm not going to say we will be in the finals, but we have good chances.
Alright, I've got one more question for both of you guys, and then we'll get to our shout-outs, unless Dum's got some eager, smart questions, as I like to call them. Anyway, my one question is, a lot of people wonder if the upper bracket final has anything of major worth, because there's always that sort of safety net of the lower bracket to go back through if you screw up in this game. But how important was tonight's match for both of you teams? Do you rank the upper bracket advantage highly, or is it not that big of a deal? I'm going to start alphabetically with AMS.
I don't know how much it means for the finals. I don't know if we get like a map advantage or something.
Map advantage. Yeah.
I guess that's like pretty good for us. Like it's a pretty big advantage. But I think the bigger thing is just if we had lost tonight, it would have been really bad for like team morale and going into the finals, because we don't deal well with losing. So of course it's important in that way.
How about you, Ombrak? How much did you value this advantage from the upper bracket final, or is it not a big deal?
It's a really big deal. I think giving a map advantage is really stupid. I think it's way too much of an ad to give to one team.
Oh damn.
I think it just like last season grand final just showed it. Like only having to win 2 maps is completely retarded. Just give the team who won all the map pick control, but don't give them a map. I think that's way too big of an advantage. But like considering how this season went, I'm not surprised to see like retarded shit. Like even to see us being first seed and have no map pick advantage on this map pick against Se7en is completely retarded. Like, what's the point of being first seed if you don't get any ad? None. Okay, thank you for answering my question. So like, I think there's a lot of things that needs to be reviewed, and I think it happened only once. Then that the team who won the upper bracket final lost it, and that was when Tiger won with the Arctic Foxes, if I'm not mistaken. So. Yes. Yeah, I think that just goes to show that it's completely retarded and unfair, but, maybe I'm just a sole loser, who knows?
You're truly annoyed and angry on Brack. What would you change exactly then? So is it just get rid of the map advantage for the grand finals, check. What about, and the pick advantage for the first seed going into the upper bracket final, if they make it there, I suppose. But
like this game right now?
Yeah, just in general, it sounds like you've got a lot of things on your mind when it comes to ETF2L. Is there?
Well, it's not. I don't know. For me, just like legit things. Like on this one, we should have. Like in the end, Se7en agreed that we were Team B, but I think it shouldn't have been down to them to be okay with it.
Even if you get first seed, don't you have technically an easier game to get into that upper bracket final though?
Oh yeah.
Like, you play 4th place rather than 3rd place.
Yes.
So that's the ad you get for getting first seed.
Well, I don't know. It doesn't.
I mean,
really...
either way, it would still be the same 2 teams because they just played the best. So the upper bracket final is quite fair, I think. Maybe not the map ad, maybe just like a pick ad. But what you're saying is like you don't get anything for first seed when you do.
Basically, it's not that you get nothing. I think he just wants more for the first place, because I can sympathise for both sides. I mean, it's a bit of a strange sort of thing where advantage.
My point is, for upper bracket final, you get, like, when you're first seed, you get a little to no, like, it's a really small advantage. But if you win grand final, upper bracket, you get a tremendous ad, which is a map. And I think there's a gap here that should be like somehow fixed.
I see. Okay, so it's either the advantages are small all across the board, or the advantages should be big all across the board.
Yeah, and like.
But what if you come first seed and don't make it to the upper bracket final? That kind of defeats the point of it.
I suppose unless the 4th place inherits the magical MacGuffin. I don't know. Maybe it's just given to the higher seed of the ETF2L. Either way, we're not the admins. We don't have to hash this out.
Yeah, that's a topic or an entire TFTV thread worth of drama, I think.
Yeah, you heard it here, keyboard warriors. You want to farm those up frags. I heard that being an OP on the forums as well gets you like double points or something like that. This is a hot topic, and you'll get at least 10 posts out of Ombrak as well, and like 50 up frags. So get cracking with that forum post. Anyway, Tiger, talk to me about this advantage of the upper bracket final. Is it bubbling your blood at all?
No, I just get to go bed earlier when we play the final.
That's your greatest takeaway from this. Okay.
Well, the last thing that I want to mention quickly before we get to the end of the stream is next time we'll see some of these players playing will be at LAN, where some of you guys joined forces for Ascent.EU, and Ombrek being the only one going, I think, of all of these boys here in Mumble on either of these teams. So, Ombrek, how are things looking with Ascent.EU? Probably not having quite as much time as you guys wanted to have practice, I would imagine.
Yeah, we didn't play enough in my eyes. I wish we could like use the time we have left to play a bit more. I have no idea the skill level of the other teams. I don't know if they're good or they're bad. So it's kind of a leap into the unknown right now.
I mean, if you're really that annoyed on right, you could just throw the game as well. Be like, take that, Cadus.
Why would I?
That's what you get for knocking me out of the upper bracket final in an ETF2L online cup. I mean, league.
So I would put myself in a bad position just for the sake of it?
Yep.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Okay, well, I guess...
Well, he said he's a sore loser, but not that much on TurboTabs.
Alright, okay. So, we've been through all of the questions. I think we've exhausted all of our guests, and clearly Tiger wants to go to bed. Let's start wrapping things up. AMS, you know the game by now. It's shout-out time.
Shout out to my team. And shout out to you guys for the coverage, and Ascent as well for the good games.
Going down the list in alphabetical order, Ombrak.
Shout out to Ascent, to my team. Shout out to Se7en. They will lose someday. When nobody plays the game. Shout out to you guys for casting. Shout out to chat. Shout out to people who make TF2 happen, lands and stuff. Shout out to Seeds for actually stepping up and playing really well. I think people don't really realize what it takes, and I think he's playing very well, so shout out to him. Shout out to Kratos Dogs, shout out to Kratos who is done with school, now he can go kill people in the army, and shout out to Babs.
Tiger, shout out to bed.
Shout out to my bed, shout out to Se7en, and shout out to the casters.
Neat, tidy, I love it. Alright, Dum, any last words?
Shout out to everybody for the Copenhagen Games production crew people that are making that happen, I guess. And it should be fun next week.
Yes. Hamaham, I suppose you can talk through me if you really want to shout out? Yay? Nay? No?
He's fallen asleep.
He's fallen asleep.
What? Sorry?
Okay, he good, he said. Alright, okay. So that has been our ETF2L Season 29 Premiership coverage, playoff upper bracket final, 7 versus Ascent.EU, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Discord, all that stuff. AMS, Ombrak, Tiger, Dum, hamaham, TurboTabs. There we go. That's all the words I had to say in that little tiny 10-second window. Thanks for joining us. See you next time. Oh yeah, shout out to you guys at home.